All right, Dr. Smith.
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Smith. I'm the Executive Director of Raise Your Hand Texas, speaking in opposition to Senate Bill 8. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to hear this bill. I know it's a really busy part of session for you, and we greatly appreciate your efforts. I'll start with the special education voucher in the bill. If you're going to have a special education voucher, the amount needs to be much larger per student. Some of our students in public schools that are special ed students cost $50,000 to $100,000 a year. This bill only calls for about $9,500 per student. We've looked at the 43 accredited private schools that primarily serve special education students that Representative Allison referenced earlier in the hearing. The average cost of those 43 schools is $19,000 a year, and some of them cost as much as $50,000 a year. So our special ed students simply aren't going to be able to afford to go to those campuses. Some of these private schools also cater to special education students that don't have the highest needs that we're having to provide in public schools. So for example, we looked at some of their websites. They have highly selective admission requirements, such as students have to be free from significant medical or physical concerns, free from significant behavior concerns. Students are expected to fit the program we offer. They have to have average or above average intelligence. They have to do multi-day visits before they can get into the school to make sure that that school is the right fit for that child. And the students, this one really got me. The students must have a positive or at least neutral effect on the school community. Otherwise, they will not be admitted or they will be removed. We are talking about children who are being excluded or prohibited from attending particular campuses, and it's fine for a private school to do that if they're just a private school, but if they're taking taxpayer dollars, that language simply isn't acceptable. The legislature also needs to be prepared for rapid expansion of vouchers. Special education vouchers typically serve as a gateway to larger voucher programs. We've looked into the data. 7 states started as very small special education vouchers, and all of them expanded to larger programs. 2 of the 7 states now have universal voucher programs that primarily benefit families whose children never attended public schools. Arkansas, example, it started with $147,000 a year, and it's now at $57 million per year. Utah started at $607,000 a year, and it's now $54 million per year. Do the math for Texas. It's going to be a very large cost as these programs expand. Voucher programs never stay small, and that is by design. Moving on to vouchers for F-rated campuses. If you're going to have a voucher for an F-rated campus, you need to do something for the students who will inevitably be left behind in those F-rated schools. They will need highly trained teachers, wraparound services, and smaller class sizes. You need to base the F rating on something besides a test. F ratings in elementary and middle school campuses are completely based on standardized tests, and the cut score for those tests are set by someone who is not an elected official. The question to ask yourselves is, are you okay with a school being rated an F and then opening the gate for a voucher solely based on a standardized test? And if so, shouldn't an elected body, such as the legislature or the State Board of Education, have a more active role regarding cut scores and progress measures before handing taxpayer dollars to voucher programs? Regarding the testing and accountability section of the bill, Raise Your Hand is not opposed to testing. We value high-quality data to be able to inform instruction and assess student needs. We do oppose an accountability system that is based completely on a test, which is still the case for grades 3 through 8 in this bill. It doesn't matter if it's STAR, TSIA, or anything else. Those F ratings are still just based on standardized tests in grades 3 through 8. There are bills moving through the legislative process. We have participated actively in those conversations, and I brought you a report that we worked on for 18 months that has a whole lot of really great recommendations that you can look through and think about as you're pondering the specific legislation in this bill. But the bill that was considered and voted out by this committee is not Senate Bill 8. Those are very different bills, and you need to take that into consideration if you're going to use that as the reason to vote this bill out of committee. We do thank you for requiring voucher students to take the state-mandated test. The bill does not, however, hold private schools accountable or have a mechanism to pull underperforming private school students out. My guess is if this bill passes, the legislature will need to come back in a future session and create an A through F rating for private schools so they can protect those students who are being underserved. Sure. In summary, Raise Your Hand Texas continues to oppose Senate Bill 8. There's still time this session to improve student outcomes through investments in special education, investments in our educators, through raises, or even just an increase to the basic allotment. We're depending on the members of the House Public Education Committee to continue to stand up for 5.4 million students, and we look forward to supporting you on this path.
All right.